So now I will just start building my floor. I will put this one here. Then I will hold down Control and drag so that I get another one of these. And if I want to only move it in this sideways direction, I can hold down Shift, and that will kind of lock my movement to a straight axis. So now I can just move it, maybe, let's see, maybe there. And then I will select both of these, do it again, hold down Control, hold down Shift, and I will slowly start building the floor. So as you can see, I'm always like selecting everything and copying it by holding down Control and Shift. And this way I can create my floor relatively quickly. Couple of more copy operations. By the way, I was zooming out by holding down Control and using the mouse wheel. So if you need to zoom, just hold down Control and rotate your mouse wheel. That way you can get further away in your layout. Alright, so now we have created the floor elements here, and we can see that they are on the foreground layer because that was the layer that we had selected. If I select an element here, it says layer foreground. Okay, let's bring in a background element, and I will go to my far background because I want to bring in the element that is basically the sky or the furthest background. So let me double click again on an empty area, and this time I'm not going to select sprite. I'm going to select tiled background because I want this element to automatically tile. Like I want the graphics to automatically tile next to each other when I make this object larger in the layout. You'll see what I mean. So I will select tiled background. I will click somewhere here. Then I will open up my image file and I will select the background. And remember how we made this file a power of 2 in size. So 512 times 512, that's a power of 2, and that's what works best with these tiled backgrounds. So I don't have to do anything else for this. I will just close it up. And now the thing that is weird is, why can't we see it? Why is it not visible? Well, that's because we have to tell this foreground layer that it should be transparent, and because it was the first layer, it doesn't have this transparency on. So let's simply switch this to say transparent yes, and now we can see this element through the layer. So I will just grow this to cover the entire layout here, and you can see how it's tiling the same image over and over again here, and that's what we want. Let me maybe I'll even give it some extra dimensions here. And now we have our far background. Let's bring in some other background elements. So I will select the background layer here, double click, select sprite this time, and let's go and maybe get some of these hills here. So I will select hill, and let's use the crop tool here. Oh, there's some some pixels there that we forgot, so I have to crop it manually. If the crop tool won't work, you can always do a selection and then press it, and that will crop it manually. Let me just delete those pixels there. I will crop this a little bit more. I think we can crop it like that. Then I will close this, and I have the background selected, so this one went to the background layer, and I will just put these on different places here, not too close together so that it doesn't look like it's repeating, but maybe some of them can then overlap a little bit. Let's make these overlap slightly, maybe like so, and you know, we can scale them down if we want to have some smaller ones. Maybe I give them some variation in size. So there's a small one and a big one, and scale this a little bit up. It's usually not so good to scale things up, but if it's not too much, then that should be fine. So now we have some of those background elements there, and let's bring in some other background elements as well. Select sprite. I'm going to put them on the background. Open up this sprite sheet, and I have here these stones, big stones, and I will just select this one and crop it, and then crop it again to remove any excess from the framing. And let's make the image point in the center like that. And now we can move this around. Oh, actually this one should be slightly darker, which I forgot. Let's go to Photoshop and let's make this element here a bit darker than the others. Image, adjustments, curves. It should be dark because it's in the background and you can't jump on top of it. Maybe something like that. And I will resave this file. It's easy to forget these small things. So let's try it again. I'll go to construct, edit this file. I reopen the sprite sheet and I do these steps again. Let's crop it. Maybe we can crop it slightly more, even like that. And let's put the image point closer to the center of the graphic, and that's better. So now we can also place these at random places. We can scale them up and down as we want. If I want to send this to the behind this other element here, I can right click and tell it to go in set order and send to bottom of layer. So now it went behind this other graphic. And if you want to select elements but there are other elements overlapping, you can hold down Tab and click, then it lets you select elements even if there are other elements overlapping. And now I'm moving this element by holding down Shift and hitting the arrow keys. That's another way of moving the elements around. You can just hit the arrow keys, but that's a little bit slower. Okay, so now I'm just going to copy these elements, scale some of them to make them larger or smaller so that it's not too repetitive. Maybe this one can be slightly down like that. You get the picture. I'm just putting some graphics in place. And these are just the background, so they are not that important even. And maybe now we can create some platforms for jumping. So I will go to foreground and I can just use these. So when the player can jump, we can put some of these elements in place so he can jump on top of them. Maybe I will build some climbing things here so that he can go pretty high. And I probably have to fix the positions of these later because I'm going pretty fast now and they might not be the best positions, but let's just get something going and then fix them later if the positions are not so good. All right, that looks fine. Let's maybe make one where you can climb a lot. Maybe the saw could be there. And then just some small platforms here and there. And again, I'm copying this by holding down Control and dragging. Alright, I think that's fine. And the next thing we might want to do is let's put in some trees. So I will select Sprite. Let's click there. Open up our sprite sheet here, and I will select this tree type here. Crop it again, and that looks fine. Let's put the image point in the center, or actually I'm going to put the image point rather low here because I might actually use this image point later for rotating the tree when it falls down, so I can use this as the axis of the rotation. So I will actually, for this tree, I'm going to put it here where is the pivot point for the rotation, kind of. Let me show you what I mean. So when I have the image point there, when I rotate this image, it will fall down based on that point. So these are like obstacles. So I'm going to put them in certain places. Here he should be able to jump over them, but then I want to create also forests where the player can't pass without the saw. Maybe here can be a couple of trees like that. And let's select them. And yeah, so the player gets the saw here. That's what I said, I think. So maybe here can be a forest that he can't really pass, which means, yeah, he probably can't jump on top of it. So let's maybe remove this one. I just press delete to remove it, and then I will make here a more dense forest. Delete that one, maybe delete that one. So now I'm pretty sure he can't jump from here, and then he probably can't jump from here on top of this. So this actually creates now something that the player must cut down with the saw before he can move forward in the game. Let's do one more forest before the game ends. In there, and maybe remove that one. A couple of more of these. Alright, so that's good. We have our forest in place. We put it in the foreground layer. Maybe some of these should be slightly lower so that they're not hanging in the air. That looks good. That one is hanging in the air a bit.